Education is a right, not just for the rich and white. Education is a right, not just for the rich and white. Education is a right, not just for the rich and white. Education is a right.
I will. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Y'all ready to get started? Yeah! My name is Marcos Ceniceros, M-A-R-C-O-S-C-E-N-I-C-E-R-O-S. I'm a community resident and organizer with the Bryant Park Neighborhood Council. We are here today because once again, CPS and Mayor Rahm Emanuel have brought about devastating cuts to schools across the district. Cuts that will deeply impact academics and much needed school supports, especially in this time of need with increased anxiety over immigration issues and violence in our streets. Instead, the mayor is talking about borrowing more money, which will increase CPS's debt, as well as place the burden on working families and working Chicago families by having to pay that debt with high interest rates. There are solutions at the table for revenue, but the mayor talks of debt. Is that right?
Right.
So we are kicking off a month of visits to aldermanic offices. And today, a bus tour of 5 aldermanic offices, starting with Alderman Burke. Alderman Burke, chairman of the Finance Committee, has stalled and sat on the TIF surplus ordinance for over a year. So, this morning we will hear from parents, from students, and community advocacy groups about the effect of these cuts. So let's start off with 2 students from Kelly High School. We have Susana de la O and Wendy Blanquel.
Good morning all. My name is Wendy Blanquel.
And I'm Susana de la O.
We are currently seniors at Thomas Kelly High School, and we were both involved in Kelly's advance band and the very well-known marching band who performs in a variety of parades each year. We've gone to New Orleans for the Sugar Bowl, and we're about to go represent Illinois at the Memorial Day Parade in Washington, D.C. this upcoming May.
Keep in mind, this is an experience that we wouldn't get if we were at a noble school. We're bringing up noble schools to point out the fact that they are receiving the money that we are entitled to.
We had $1.5 million cut, 12 teachers laid off, and that's not just including counselors. Teachers from all across the subjects have been cut off. Not only does this affect us as students, but as a future community, which is slowly crumbling.
To think that when we were writing this out, we were about to technically print this out, but we forgot that the printers were cut off, as they will be for the rest of the year. Resources are being cut off one by one, and this is why we demand that Alderman Burke make corporations pay their fair share to fund our schools.
We also come to demand for the TIF surplus ordinance to send money from property taxes back to our schools. We are worth more than what people see us.
We CPS students are taught, cared for, and shown to be great leaders who care about the community and the future.
We are a family here. We are taught to be humans. We are not trained to be robots for standardized testing.
Our intention is not to bash noble schools, but rather to exemplify the fact that Alderman Burke is putting money in places that do not require or need it. We know that Chicago has money. We always see something extra or added.
Stop trying to enclose us and keep us hidden. Help us rise above. Accept the fact that we all have potential worth fighting for. We know that we are strong, intelligent, and powerful. Therefore, we will keep fighting. So our question to you, Alderman Burke, is when will you start fighting for our schools as well?
Right.
Yeah. Woo!
Elementary. With other community, student, and labor groups here, we fight for equitable and high-quality schools for all Chicago children. Parents for Teachers believes that standing up for our kids means standing up for teachers. That said, Mayor Emanuel and his appointed CPS CEO and board are trying to fill a massive budget shortfall on the backs of teachers and PSRPs, issuing nearly 1,000 layoffs, affecting students across Chicago. The hardest hit schools are serving communities of color and low-income families, and this is not acceptable. Furthermore, the district is facing $500 million of budget deficit next year, which means more layoffs, more school closures and school actions, and more reckless borrowing. This cycle of crisis must stop. It's harmful to Chicago kids and our city. So city and school budgets are an expression of values. They are an expression of values. The mayor and city council members need to show moral leadership and fully fund our public schools. There is real leadership in the council who have viable proposals to raise new revenue that will help fill the gap. Besides the TIF ordinance, the corporate head tax is a measure the council should adopt ASAP. All right. The head tax would reinstate, increase, and streamline the collection of the employer's expense tax, raising nearly $100 million. We call on our city council members, and Burke should lead, to commit to passing these revenue measures before school reopens this year. Alderman Burke, members of the city council, Mayor Emanuel, we ask you this: who do you value? The children of and communities of Chicago, or bankers, corporate heads, and the rich?
Great. Next we'll have Anthony Jackson from Action Now.
Hello, my name is Anthony Jackson, and I live in the Auburn Gresham neighborhood. And I am a member of Action Now. I have lived in Chicago my whole life, and it seems the problem of providing a quality education for our kids has been happening for just as long. As someone that lives in the city, it is disappointing, but as a parent, it is flat out unacceptable. My kids are in CPS students, and it is ridiculous that we have to demand the mayor and our aldermen to put money into our kids' futures, especially when there is plenty of money for our schools in the TIF system.
Yeah, right.
But they won't use this money. They want to use the money for downtown and corporate interests instead of using it for what it is meant for, helping people in our communities that need assistance. It seems it's time for the mayor and the city council to do what's right and put the money where their mouths are. Let's reinstate the corporate head tax and pass the TIF surplus ordinance to properly fund our public schools. It is time for corporations and wealthy Chicagoans to pay their fair share.
All right.
Pay your fair share. 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 Pay your fair share.
Enseguida tenemos a Margarita Ábalos.
Good morning. I'm trying English because my first language is in Spanish. This community is 99% it's in Spanish, okay? Our school and our community need your support. All millions of dollars that our countries are losing only for political reasons. Get involved, visit the schools in our community. Listen to the students to let them know everything they are missing already, and not to limit education. It's time they open your eyes to reality. We do not want more cuts, we want more investment.
Lastly, we have Deborah Haas from Raise Your Hand.
Now one more. This bleeding must stop. We have been to Springfield many times with the many other groups here today to push for equitable state funding, but we also need our local leaders to do their job and support ordinances such as the TIF surplus and corporate head tax. Because no matter what happens in Springfield, CPS will still be short the funding they need to provide a high-quality education to every student. Yesterday was supposed to be a big day in Springfield. There was supposed to be a vote on overriding the governor's veto of SB 1, the school funding bill. Even if SB 1 were to pass, it would only be the first step. It would improve the inequity in the state's funding formula, but it will not solve the inadequacy for many years. Both the state and the city must do their part to fund our city schools. The state funding formula has been debated for decades, but our city leaders have the power to take steps now. Not for the children living in Chicago 10 years from now, but the children entering their classrooms less than 3 weeks from now, who are already reeling from the layoffs that took place earlier this month, this winter, last fall, and the winter before. Our governor has been trying to divide and conquer public school supporters in Chicago from those downstate with his anti-Chicago rhetoric. What better way to disarm the divisive vitriol than by stepping up and showing that the city is doing everything it can to take care of its own public school system.
Great, thank you all. So I also just want to say that in this area on the southwest side, there's seen a lot of violence. Across several high schools, just high schools, we've seen over 35 positions, teachers and support staff positions lost. In a time when we need it the most is when the time they're pulling out. So instead of investing in our neighborhoods and in our schools, they are disinvesting. So there is no question as to why the violence exists, as to why we are seeing so many people leaving Chicago and the state. So that's why we are here, to demand that our representatives actually represent us and listen to us. So today, again, we are kicking off a bus tour to deliver letters to 5 aldermen, starting with Alderman Burke, Alderman Solis, Alderman Dowell, Alderman Bookins, and Alderman O'Shea. We will deliver letters to encourage them to support revenue over more borrowing. So we have some young people who are going to attempt to deliver a letter here to the alderman, so we can part the ways and see if we can get through. Let's part the sea, yeah.
Escucha, estamos en la lucha. No más recortes, más inversión. No más recortes, más inversión para la educación.
No ifs, no buts, no education cuts.
No ifs, no buts, no education cuts. No ifs, no buts, no education cuts. No ifs, no buts, no education cuts. No ifs, no buts, no education cuts. No ifs, no buts, no education cuts. No ifs, no buts, no education cuts.
No ifs, no buts, no education cuts.
No ifs, no buts, no education cuts. No ifs, no buts, no education cuts.